All right, everybody. Welcome to LaxCenter Live with Jonny Vegas Namer. That's me, and our guest is Paul St. John. And Paul, how you doing?
Great, Johnny. Thanks for having us on today.
Yeah. And now Paul St. John is the president of the Arena Lacrosse League, the A.L.L. And Paul, why don't you talk about how the Arena Lacrosse League started and what drew you to making the decision to start the Arena Lacrosse League?
I appreciate that question off the hop, Johnny. I think where we went from, we started a league up here called the Canadian Lacrosse League, a winter league that runs parallel to the NLL. And over time, we started thinking of different ideas and how do we grow the game more outside of Ontario and Canada, because as we know, box lacrosse is predominantly a Canadian-driven sport at this stage. So we turned our attention to the U.S. probably about a year ago. We started thinking, how can we develop American players to start to be able to compete on an even level with Canada and Iroquois nations. So we turned our vision to the U.S. and all the research we've done in the past year shows that there's just a tremendous amount of space to grow. There's a little bit of box in the U.S. as we know, but there's just not enough, and we really need to turn our attention south of the border. I'm a Canadian. To grow the American players and really to grow the game, because I think if we grow American players and we grow the area and teams, then we'll put more teams on even kill and grow the sport worldwide.
Yeah, and you definitely you definitely hit on a good point there that we definitely need to grow the sport of lacrosse as a whole, and we need to grow the sport of box lacrosse too, because pretty much the National Lacrosse League is the majority of the players in that league are Canadian lacrosse players. There's only 9 teams, and there's just not enough roster spots to go around. So we definitely need more professional box lacrosse leagues like yours. And there have been some that have tried in the past, and I just think that yours has got a bright future. I definitely like your mindset and where you want to take this. And let's talk briefly about the tour that you guys are going to be doing over the USA.
Well, what I'll do is I'll lead into the tour if you don't mind, because I think the key thing here, and you hit it perfect when you said that we need a spot for this type of league. We're going to grow the game from the grassroots up to the elite level, and a lot of the majority of the players that are going to play in the Arena Lacrosse League will be current collegiate guys. So obviously there's a structure there where you can't pay players, but they'll get an opportunity to make some money by running camps and running a junior all program that we'll have in each city. So where this leads, and the reason I want to bring this into the mix, is we're going to grow the game for everybody. We'll create American players for the NLL where they're developed already. So when they draft an American player, bingo, they don't have to take them under their mix and try to develop them anymore, because we've done it for them. So the tour where we're leading into is the tour is going to launch our brand. It's going to be the model that we want to unveil in 2016 as a complete league. So we're going to do this tour in 2015, 10 cities, United States, and we can get into the cities in a minute. But the key part of the tour is we're going to do an elite combine for potential players in our league, and it's going to be a week-long event so we can bring the players in. Obviously, there's a cost, but they'll come in, they'll stay at nice hotels, they'll get fed. We'll do everything. Basically, our whole model is for these guys to learn the Arena Lacrosse League brand. It's a little different style than the NLL and then in Canadian box. So they'll come in, we'll teach them. They'll go through a combine, like a skills and scrimmage combine. They'll get drafted onto a team. We'll have 2 teams in the city. They'll go through practices, video sessions, fitness training. They'll have meetings, team meetings, strategy meetings. They'll do public appearances. They'll spend some time with our sponsors doing promos for the Saturday game. And then on Saturday night, they'll get to play in a showcase game in front of fans, in front of all coaches, in front of owners. So it is a big part for us to do this tour, because we get to launch everything and show everybody what our brand's about. It's built on speed. It's built on finesse. American players have always been highly skilled and terrific conditioned athletes. Now we can take them indoors and develop them all around, teach them some of the Canadian game, if we want to call it that, with the pick and rolls and the two-man games and how to get to the net, drive the middle, off-ball cutting, when to cut, when not to cut. It's a whole different structure inside, as we know. And we're excited, and you can probably tell by my voice, we're excited because we're going to be able to teach this. And we're, our whole group that's involved with the Arena Lacrosse League, I'm not going to say we're experts. That's just the wrong word to use. But we know the game. We've played it. We've coached it. We've owned teams. We've done everything you can do in this game of lacrosse, except realistically, train the American players. And I think what we're going to do as a whole is we're finally going to do what everyone else has talked about. We're going to do it. We're going to teach the American players how to play indoors.
Yeah. And it's definitely a good point, too, about teaching the American players how to play indoor lacrosse, because most of the time in the past, from my experience, has been that the American players that are used to playing field lacrosse pretty much just think that it's field lacrosse played in a smaller, played in a rink, But no, it's a much different sport. There's different techniques, different skill levels you need for it. It's much more physical, so you got to be physically and mentally tough when you're playing box lacrosse. And you definitely got to research before you play it, because if you just hop in there thinking you're going to be able to shoot the same way and play the same way, it's not going to happen. You're going to fire a shot you would in field lacrosse. It's going to hit the backboard, and then there goes your possession for your team. So yeah, definitely, yeah.
No, you're 100% right. I think that everyone talks about the biggest culture shock going indoors is the physical contact and the confined areas. And of course it is. But I think the bigger culture shock is for players that all of a sudden they're seeing a goalie that fills most of the net, is full of equipment. Nets are a lot smaller size. So, you're picking corners in a field lacrosse net, that's 4 feet wide in a box lacrosse net. So, it is a different culture shock when you get into really a lot more than just the physical aspect of the game. And we can teach that. And we have changed our rules a little bit where, off-ball cutters, it's minimal contact, almost like basketball. You're partnering up on defense and stuff like that. So players get to the net more. And if you do look at the Canadian Lacrosse League, which just finished their 4th season, you'll see some of the brand that we're going to bring to the U.S. And I think fans, when they see the game, and I know the people that watch the Canadian Lacrosse League, they love the brand because it is highly skilled and it's end-to-end fast-paced action. Lots of scoring chances.
And yeah, definitely a lot of scoring chances for sure. And it's just such a fast-paced game. I mean, in my experience, it's much more of a workout than field lacrosse, just because there's so much up and down, like basketball, and you're running back and forth, playing defense, playing offense. I mean, you really do work up quite a sweat in box lacrosse.
Well, that's a good point. And again, we're going to continue on with a rule that we incorporated into the Canadian Lacrosse League 4 years ago, and that's bringing in a rule where we have an indoor and an outdoor. So when you're a team and you're changing, you have to go into set doors. So your indoor is closest door to your net. Your outdoor is furthest door from your net. So if you want to change after you lose the ball, let's say, like they do today in the National Lacrosse League and in Canadian Boxing Canada, most of those guys run to the front door and the defenders come out the back door and they take away transition. Well, we put in a rule, like I said, with the indoor-outdoor, you have to go back to the furthest door, which is closest to your net. So you've got to run across the offensive door to get to the D door, and the next player has to come out the front door, so you actually lose 60 feet. So every transition run, Johnny, if you can picture a game, every transition run, every breakaway, every 2-on-1, every 3-on-2, they're legit scoring opportunities. So the team that has the ball is going down, they're going to make a good play, they're going to score a goal, or there's going to be a good defensive play or a great save, and the ball's coming the other way unless the offensive team can regain possession. We're not going to see any more where you run over center, you get over center, all of a sudden you look up, it's a 2-on-1, you look up, it's a 2-on-3, you pull the ball out, you make a line change because it takes too much time out of your 30-second shot clock. And fans watch this and they look at it and they're wondering why teams are always changing. We don't have that. It's speed, speed, speed. You can be an offensive-only guy or a defensive-only guy, but you're not going to gain anything by changing when the other team has possession.
Yeah.
So you have to visualize. I know it's hard, but if you watch a Canadian Lacrosse League game, fans love it. They love that rule.
Yeah, and now one question I have is, as you watch the National Lacrosse League, ever since it started, pretty much they definitely have that fighting aspect like hockey, which puts some fans off and kind of puts some families off into letting their kids play, especially since the N.L.L. promotes it on their page. What are you prepared to do about the fighting issue? Are you guys gonna allow it to some degree, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think our whole game is based on safety, and you'll see that in our brand. It's safety skills, and for the kids, it's safety skills and fun with a little competition thrown in. We're looking for the future. The future is telling us that we have to change the game. Concussions have been such a play a big role in society today that we have to try our best to prevent them. Fighting in a contact sport happens. We all get that. If it happens in our league, the players will obviously drop their gloves and fight, but they'll get expelled from the game. They can't come back till the next game. We'd like to prevent fighting, but we also know in contact sports, it will happen from time to time. But these players will be penalized accordingly, and they will, they'll sit out the rest of the game. I think the Canadian lacrosse in the summer have brought in a similar type rule where if players fight, that they get kicked out of the game, they get expelled from the game. We're in the same role as that. We really want to keep the game fast. Like, again, if you go back to the Canadian Lacrosse League, and I'll refer to that a lot because we are going to be a similar type league, they have fighting in their league, but none of it's staged. It's a heat of the moment fight. They do let the players stay in the game, but their game is so fast with quick whistles and that they don't have very many fights. And if you look at their record in the years that I was there for the 3 years, there wasn't many fights in that league. I mean, we did have the odd one, but it's not to the extreme like we've seen in some other leagues and, of course, in hockey. So I know it's a little bit long-winded, but, yeah, we will do our best to prevent fighting as much as possible.
Yeah, well, that's definitely good. I'm glad you guys are doing that. And like you said, it is very physical, and so there's no way to completely cut out fighting. I mean, my experience, I've played box lacrosse for the last 5 years. Played more field lacrosse, but I've played box, and I'll be playing in the Alice Sobreski Memorial Box Lacrosse Tournament in Prague later this month, which will be pretty cool. Have you ever heard of that tournament?
I have, actually. We one of the players that plays there, Pavel Dozley, is a big Czech Republic player, and he played with us in Canada with the Ajax Pickering Rock for 3 summers. So we've followed it ever since, probably for the last 10 years, 12 years. Great tournament. It grows every year. Everyone seems to want to go over, and they should. Apparently, I haven't been over at all yet, but a lot of my friends have, and they love it. The experience is second to none.
Yeah. And now to change subjects a little bit, I just want to talk about the 2015 Arena Lacrosse League Showcase Tour. You guys are going to do several tour dates this summer. You guys are going to go to Washington, to California, and Oregon, a bunch of places. Why don't you go through the list and talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, when we first started thinking about putting a showcase tour on it, probably started to come to light about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And we started looking at cities and places that obviously we'd love to have as part of our 2016 season. So, we were aiming for 6 cities and then talking to venues and talking to some of the potential ownership groups that we have. They all want to see that games come to their city so they can either make a decision on whether they want to get in on ownership or whether we can see if the model will work in that city. So we picked Everett, Washington. We're going to start off with that July 20th. The showcase game is the Saturday, the 25th. Then we head down to Stockton, California, and at the same time, we're in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Then from Stockton, we go back up the coast to Portland, Oregon, and we're in Albany, New York at the same time. Then we head to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then at the same time we're in Baltimore. And then we finish up in the West Coast in Boise, Idaho, and at the same time we're in Trenton, New Jersey. And then the whole tour wraps up August 24th, to 29th in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So we're really excited because all 10 cities we've looked at, we have potential to have a full-time team in there for 2016. You know, each city is going to have the elite combine, which is for potential players. We talked about that a little bit early. So they get to come in for that week combine and learn the game, and they get to play in front of the fans and coaches and owners on a Saturday. But we're also running a youth camp and a youth tournament that same week. And everything happens at state-of-the-art venues. So we're not into any of the small rinks. We're not into any soccer worlds. We're in the best rink in that city. So to give you an example, in Everett, Washington, we're at the Xfinity Arena, and everything happens there. So the youth camp and tournament, it's a 5-day event. It's 2.5 days of camp where you learn the game and you get to do a bunch of fun stuff other than lacrosse. It's a camp. And then you get to play in a 4-game tournament over the next 2.5 days, and the tournament wraps up on Saturday before the showcase game. So it's a big event in each city. A lot of excitement. We want to build the excitement for the city. We want to see how the city embraces us. You know, will they support the game? Will they support the team? So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we think it's the right way to unveil our model, because a lot of people don't know who Paul St. John is. A lot of people don't know who the Arena Lacrosse League is. Hopefully, you know, by the end of August, everyone will know, and everyone will understand what we are trying to do, which is grow the game. We think the model is the best model to grow it. We will be a summer league. We haven't mentioned that yet. We will be a summer league, different than the NLL, of course, which is a winter league. But we just think the best opportunity for us to grow the sport is in the summer, because not only can we get, Johnny, these 700,000 kids that are registered playing field lacrosse, we also can tap into hockey players and winter sport like basketball players. You know, in Canada, hockey players play lacrosse, summer lacrosse all the time. In the U.S., they can't do that because they're playing hockey and there's no real indoor lacrosse to be played. There's little spots here and there. So we'll bring the Canadian model somewhat to the U.S. We'll improve on it, I think, and we'll open it up to everybody, because we just think it's a great game, and it has been the fastest growing sport in the U.S. in the field side, and we think it's time to get the indoor game to start reaching similar type numbers.
Yeah, and the Facebook page for everybody out there is Arena Lacrosse League, and you guys also have a website. Why don't you talk a little bit about your website, and how can people contact you or the Arena Lacrosse League about getting involved?
Well, our website's pretty easy. It's arenalacrosseleague.com. And most of the staff, if you go on there, there is a contact list under contacts. Most of the staff that's there, like myself, if you had to contact me without getting to the website, it's pstjohn@arenalacrosseleague.com. So it is pretty easy, and a little long on the email side, but you'll get to me, and like I said, the contact list is there as well. That will be a great site to go to for all the information on Showcase Tour. Start to add our teams for 2016. That obviously will be the place to go. We were able today, we added to our TV to the site, and we put up a video with the great Jim Brown talking about lacrosse and his involvement when he was with University of Syracuse. So it's a really good site at the moment for information on the tour mainly. It does have a little bit of information on our league, player eligibility for next summer and stuff, but there is a lot of stuff there. Have a look, make suggestions if you would like to see something added onto the site. We will be posting some information about some job opportunities coming up with the league and stuff, so definitely head over.
Yeah, and I'll definitely look at the schedule again and figure out a spot that I'd like to come do some interviewing and reporting at and helping out in whatever way I can. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to get involved with the Arena Lacrosse League.
So that'd be awesome, Johnny. I know we're obviously quite impressed with what you've done in the lacrosse world and other stuff. I mean, you're not only limited to lacrosse, you really, in sports in general. we'd love to have you come and spend a week or two with us on the tour, and maybe call a game if you'd like to get in the broadcast booth as well. We do have plans to webcast our games, and we do have plans to reach out and have volunteers. If you want to volunteer in one of the cities that we're in, please contact us, because we're definitely looking for volunteers. We do need to get the word out to the kids to register for the camps, and to the players to register for the Elite Combine. But again, all that information's on the website, and if there's anyone out there that can help us, please get a hold of me directly, or find the right person on the contact list.
Yeah, and I definitely love to call a game. I actually have called the SLC Game of the Week for the Lacrosse Network 2 years ago. It was Loyola Marymount versus Claremont College, and
Nice.
it was a great time. I had a person that I was commentating with. It was Chris Marshall, who you might know. He was commentating on the LXM Pro games and a lot of the college games, the MCLA college games.
Excellent. No, it's you know what, the game's growing, and we need to continue to grow together. We've had a lot of good feedback. We've had a lot of people reaching out to us asking how they can help, and that's the way we're going to grow this. It's not going to be one person like myself or a group of people like the Arena Lacrosse League. It's going to be everybody, and everyone's got to have input. And we have a model that we think is good. We know you can always tinker with a model and make it better, because one person's idea can be a group and a team's idea that can grow even more better and more immensely. So we do need some input, and obviously we will take the negative input with the positive, and we'll grow the game of lacrosse. And I think in the end, I really firmly believe 5 to 10 years from now, we'll be looking at indoor lacrosse as being a game of choice of Americans and people around the world.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with that, and I definitely want to have you on the show. As many times as you want to hop on. We can do updates every once in a while. We can in the middle of the tour, after the tour. Basically, just keep the fans of this channel and the fans of lacrosse in general up to date on what's going on with the league.
That'd be appreciated. We do have some great staff here that obviously know as much as I know, and it would be great to have them on and have them share certain things that they do. We do have a person, Chad Fairfall, who runs our youth programs, and Lance Wynn, who is our director of media and broadcast. So we'd love to have those guys come on and speak with you as well, and share their thoughts and ideas, because it is a different perspective. We're all on the same page, of course, but it'd be great to have their voice as well, or hear their voice as well.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely set that up, and I definitely want to thank you for being on the show. And everybody out there listening, make sure you guys go like the page on Facebook, Arena Lacrosse League. They also have a profile. You can add them as a friend. Make sure you guys check out the website, arenalacrosseleague.com. Is that the website, right?
That's correct, Johnny. Thank you.
Yeah, go check it out. Find out the tour dates, everybody. And if you want to get involved, make sure you message them either on Facebook or find out the contact info on the website. But Paul, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Yep. And everybody out there, make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ministry of Lacrosse. And without further ado, I'm Jonny Vegas, reminding all of you to grow your game. And remember, to grow, you got to play. Happy lacrossing, everybody. Until next time.